All right, guys, let's get into some more positive talk today. Had some negative this week. A lot of guys leaving the program. Some of that's good, some of it's bad. Um, not super disappointed with all these people transferring out. Dejon Reynolds is leaving, transferring out. I think we've had a total of almost 10 guys now. Like I think we're up to 8 maybe transfers. And then a guy dismissed from the team. But yeah, Dewan's not on the team. I totally forgot about that one. He got dismissed. Very disappointing after how hard he worked to be a Gator. Still one of my favorite recruits ever. Um, but yeah, Florida's in a good spot. Unloading all this dead weight and all these Dan Mullen guys. I wish them the best. I hope they have success wherever they go. But it looks like Florida's about to really hit the portal hard. Definitely going to have a quarterback now. We're super thin at that spot. Jaden Rashada is not going to be able to be relied upon to come in and start day one, even though if he's good enough to do it, I'm fine with it. I totally would buy into him starting day one if he comes in and just kills it. He is an early enrollee, so I do think he'll be ready to go in the fall. But I believe we truly need a really good transfer quarterback to come in. I would love to get Hartman from Wake Forest. I think he could be the guy. I actually think this team could have been more successful with Hartman at quarterback than AR this year. I really believe that. I think AR is going to get drafted and secure generational money, which is really all it's about at the end of the day for these guys. It's all about the money. Uh, but I don't think he'll ever have a career in the NFL. I don't think he'll sustain success. I hope he does. I mean, if anybody does anything with their life, I hope they're successful. But my opinion is that I don't think he will do well in the NFL. I don't think he's even ready for the NFL. And these guys don't get time. They can say what they want. They don't get time to develop. You go to the NFL, they expect you to play. Basically, if not year one, year two, you got to be the starter because they invested too much for you not to play. But this show today is going to be conference championship week. We're going to do some talk about some of the games this weekend. Get some of my takes off, get some picks on some of these games. Kind of go through the playoff picture a little bit, and would love to hear y'all's feedback. Please like and subscribe to the channel so I continue to make this show for y'all and talk about the Gators. Gators basketball does pick up a win. Florida A&M last night. I know it wasn't a good opponent, but 5-3. Give him time. There were some really good things on the court, different groupings, different rotation. Kawasi Reeves had 19 points. Castleton played well. Trey Bonham is an absolute stud that we got from the VMI, I think, or some military academy or something like that. But the kid is balling out. I mean, over 20 points, career high, matched his career high, 23. Dude can drive and slash to the basket, create his own shot. He hit like 7 straight threes last night. That's the most by any Gator since like the early 2000s, I think. So very impressive showing last night, over 100 points. It's been a really long time, a few years since Florida's hit 100 points in a game. I do think we're trending in the right direction. I think we're only going to get better. It takes time to get your roster put together, get your guys, get your system implemented in real games, and get in the flow of the game. Coaching this team in a game, know how to push the right buttons. Know which guys are going to be the best lineup and who's your sixth man. So these guys jumping all down Golden's throat right off the bat, it's insanity to me. I mean, it's basketball. There's a lot of games played in a basketball season. It's all about how he finishes. If the guy goes to the NCAA tournament, check that off for me. Year one's a success, and I'm super happy with it, thrilled with the results. So anyway, basketball's not in a bad spot. I'm not super unhappy with the way the season started. A little disappointing, but again, for me, it's all about how we play in the SEC. Does Golden come out and crush it? Can't lose to Mike White in Georgia. That one will sting way too much. I don't know if I'll be able to get over that one, but yeah, beat Mike White in Georgia, stay over 500 in the SEC, and I think Gator fans will be happy. But conference titles, you got Utah, USC. USC's 11-1, Utah 9-3. Utah won the last game. It was a heck of a game, late nighter, nail biter. Into the game, pulls it off, 43-42 by 1 point with like seconds left in the game at the goal line. My pick in this game is the upset. I'm picking Utah. I really love Utah. I think if Florida had to play Utah twice, they'd have lost that game. In a neutral site or at Utah, I don't think Florida wins that one. Or even halfway through the year, I don't think Florida beats them twice. But Utah at 9-3, damn good team in the Pac-12. I love Cam Rising. Dude is a baller. Um, Yeah, he choked at the end in our game, but man, they were driving on us literally to win the game, and Florida just made a miraculous play there. Let's be real about that. But Utah, I think, is better than even their record. I could see Utah beating USC again in this game. I'm not overly impressed with Campbell like a lot of other guys are. Talking about him being the Heisman, USC is overrated at 11-1. you know, you got one loss. You're in the Pac-12. I'm not sold. Oregon getting beaten by Georgia. Um, you know, there's a lot of average teams beating some of the top teams, upsetting them in the Pac-12. I just don't buy this conference. The Pac-12 has been one of the weakest conferences in college football since it started. Anytime they've gotten anywhere in a playoff, I think the last team to make it was Washington. They got drubbed. They're just not a good conference. The quality, you look at the overall recruiting in that conference, it's weaker. The only team that recruits at an elite level really is Oregon, and they were one of the better teams, but they still got upset there at the end of the year. So I'm taking Utah in this game. I just like the veteran presence of Rising. Like him more than Campbell. They're number 20 offense in the country is Utah. They don't turn the ball over, and that's a big thing. USC is very good on defense at taking the ball over and getting turnovers, kind of like Florida was this year. But the thing about it is they're a very porous defense. That's their only plus side on defense is their takeaways, and that's not a weakness of Utah. They don't turn the ball over, so I don't see Utah. I don't see USC being able to stop Utah in this game. I think Utah's a little healthier. I do think they'll get just enough, one or two, probably two stops in this game, and I think Utah pretty much scores on every possession. Um, if USC wins, it'll get shredded in the playoff. Whoever plays USC will shred them in the playoff. Weak conference, like I said, top 100 defense. That's not going to win you a championship ever. It's not going to win you a playoff game, bro. So you guys are probably on board with this one, but I'm going with Utah, and USC's overrated. Really bad team. I'm gonna say really bad. They've got a crazy good offense, but just overrated. You got UCF and Tulane. Shoot, I don't even know. I think it's the American Athletic Conference. USC's kind of got some. UCF's got some fluky wins this year. They've been lucky in a lot of games. I still like UCF. I think they're a good team. I like Gus Malzahn at that job. I think he's done really well with UCF and has got them, in the rankings every year. Not going to ever do anything big there. Not going to get in the playoffs or win a title, but respectable team. Added a lot of talent to that team through the portal. But my pick is on Tulane. I think Tulane. UCF got really lucky in the last game versus Tulane. Barely won that game. I saw the highlights of it, and everybody was saying it was just one of them fluky things where they just really got lucky on the last second play. But I'm taking Tulane to win that one outright. I think they win by 10. The next one, so let's get in the SEC. This is our bread and butter. I'm not high on LSU. I said they suck at the beginning of the year, blah, blah, blah. And LSU fans were in my channel and talking a bunch of crap. Well, guys, look what happened. 9-3. You lost 3 games. It's a heck of a good first season for Brian Kelly. Respectable. But knocked you off your high horse a little bit there. Got ahead of yourselves. Thinking you were somebody. You lost to Florida State. You lost a couple games you shouldn't have lost after you had all the momentum, the national media attention, the ranking. You had a chance at the playoffs and you choked. Georgia's going to run roughshod over LSU. I like this matchup for Georgia. I'm picking Georgia by a lot. I think they're going to crush LSU, and it's not even going to be competitive. LSU has just regressed offensively. They've looked terrible. They're really stalling on drives. They just can't move the ball. The whole offense is the Jaden Daniels show. Besides that, they just don't have anybody that's producing. You got Noah Cain in the backfield, who's not a bad, terrible running back. But I'll look for him to maybe even transfer out. Jaden Daniels is, again, not very healthy either. Got hurt in that last game. So is he healthy? How much is he 100%? I just think Georgia's just going to shred these guys. Defense has been, really good for LSU this year, so they'll probably slow Georgia down a little bit, first quarter. But I think as the game goes on, Georgia pulls away. I think LSU really got caught looking ahead to this game and got ahead of themselves. LSU is a team that's got to bring their A game to win every week. They are not an elite team. Again, a very good team, 9-3, respectable year one. Brian Kelly's got them going in the right direction. Florida's got to step up their game. LSU has a higher ranked recruiting class and the better coach right now. He's a proven coach, proven commodity. He can recruit. He recruited well at Notre Dame. So again, Billy does have to step up his game just a little bit, even though we're heading in the good direction. LSU still has the better class, so got to step that up just a hair. But yeah, I like Georgia to crush LSU in that SEC title game. All right, let's go to the ACC. Another really down weak conference this year. You got two good teams. You had, FSU was good this year, 9-3. You had Clemson, who's still a good. The thing is, it's a down year for Clemson. They're still a really good team. They're not a bad team. The SEC is just that deep, top to bottom. The talent, the recruiting classes, the rankings, it translates into wins, guys. It translates into quality competition. And I know y'all don't see that. You come up with this stuff about the Michigan team and Harbaugh's been there 7 years. What has he done? He's made the playoff a couple times, um, and got beat. I just don't know what the point of that argument was the other day in my comments section about Michigan. They've averaged around a top 10, top 15 class. Okay. That's pretty much been their average ranking to finish every year is about top 10. They fall out of they never win anything. They win their conference or they finish second. If you look at their recruiting in conference, they're either second or third in recruiting rankings. I think they're number 2 in the conference. So I don't know if you guys realize this, but who's number 1 and 2 in the Big Ten? Ohio State and Michigan. Guess what their recruiting rankings are in their conference? 1 and 2. Do the math, guys. It's common sense. I don't know why it's so hard for people to figure out how important recruiting is, and that it factually lines up with where teams finish the season on average. Not every year. Guys can pull out a transcendent quarterback, a Heisman winner, and he can elevate the talent around him that's top 15 to a championship roster. But without that, if you don't recruit elite level, you're not going to produce. This is why Bama, Georgia, it's the same teams every year in the playoff. People want to throw out, well, Oklahoma. This is why it matters so much more in the SEC to have a number 1, 2, 3 class, because you have Georgia and Alabama, who are the top recruiting classes in the country every year, and then you've got LSU and teams like that who are top 5, top 7. So it's just, it's so much harder to win in the SEC because of the recruiting, where it's a whole lot easier to win in the Big Ten because you've got 2 teams that recruit top 10. The rest of the conference, you've got teams recruiting outside the top 20, top 30 that just don't have the talent or the horses to get in there every year. This is why it's going to be fun for fans when they expand the playoff, but I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, expanding that playoff is not going to do a dang thing for changing who wins the national title or who's competitive. It's going to be just like it is now. It's going to be the same 4 teams in the last 4 brackets that are there every year with the top 4 because of the way they recruit and the talent that they have. They will shred the less talented teams. That is just the way it is. And you guys are going to see that when they expand this playoff. Look, I'm all for it. I would love if Florida has a good year and has 2 losses, gets in the playoff. But I don't expect Florida to do anything with it. Will they win a playoff game? Sure, that's going to be helpful and make football more fun and interesting to watch. But they still won't win a title unless they start recruiting at that elite level that we've been talking about. So let's go over to this ACC game. I'm sorry, I got a little rant there, but I had to talk about that because, people get in the comments and like to make these arguments about use the Clemson model, and it's like Clemson's in the ACC again, same example. They're number 1 in recruiting in the ACC, top 10 in the country. Well, look where they've been finishing. Teams are starting to catch up through the transfer portal. Maybe a little more parity this year in college football, but I think that'll start to chill out because of NIL. Clemson's just been real flat, doesn't show up, disappointing season. Guys are making business decisions on their roster for this game. They know they're not in the playoff, so I think guys are going to be checked out. A lot of question marks going forward about Clemson and who's going to be their quarterback. I think that's going to leave Clemson looking pretty shaky going into next season. I think it makes them really questionable to win this game. It's a toss-up push game because both teams are going to score a lot of points. Clemson pulled out a squeaker last time they played by just a couple points at the end. Drake May and North Carolina are going to be much more motivated to get an ACC championship. I think North Carolina upsets Clemson and gets the ACC title. Drake May is a stud. I think he's underrated and he should have been in the Heisman Trophy talk. Um, I think he should be one of the top players in the country for the Heisman Trophy. I would love for him to transfer and come to Florida. He's a guy that I hope Florida is, going to reach out to. Maybe he'll come to Florida. That would be sweet. He's a guy that, I would love to have, like Hartman. One of those two guys would be great pickups for Florida quarterback. Now let's drop down here to the Big Ten. My pick is Michigan. Michigan got drubbed by Georgia last time played in the playoffs. I think that if Michigan gets Georgia in the playoff, Michigan's gonna get rough shot over. They're 12-0, playing Purdue. That's how weak the Big Ten is. I mean, they're playing Purdue in the Big Ten. They're 8-4, 34th run defense, 70 or 80th in pass defense in their conference, 23rd rushing pass attack for Purdue. They are a spoiler type team. They do upset a lot of teams. They've had some big wins over the years. They're going to be motivated coming into this one. So I would love to see these guys pull off the upset and beat Michigan. I think that'd be sweet. Even with the loss, I think Michigan still gets in the playoff. But I don't think this one's close. I think Michigan runs away with this one in the second half. Michigan's going to come out slinging the rock, throwing the ball over because their pass defense for Purdue is so weak. I just don't see, the point in, they're going to run the ball because Michigan's a really good running team, but they're going to be able to hit their deep shots and throw all over Purdue in this game. So I'm thinking, Michigan by probably 17 to 21 points in this game. Last one, TCU and K-State in the Big 12. Last game was 38-28, TCU by 10. I'm picking the upset here. I'm taking K-State. K-State's 8-3. They've had some big wins this year. They've been super unlucky. Had a lot of guys get hurt. They're a little bit healthier for this game, so I look for it to be closer. TCU 12-0. Really hard to finish the season undefeated. I think they're looking ahead to the playoff. They know they're in, even with the loss. I think TCU still maybe gets in the playoff. But I think K-State wins this game. I think your top four in the playoff are pretty much a lock right now. Because Michigan's undefeated, TCU's undefeated. So even with one loss, I think you still see both those teams get in the playoff. And then you've got Georgia. It's really kind of the only spot that's really open for debate. It's going to be that fourth spot. If some of those teams lose this weekend, maybe the fourth spot's debatable. But those are my picks for the conference title week. Hope y'all enjoy the week. Enjoy the games. Everybody have a blessed day. Be thankful for everything that we have. And I appreciate everybody's support for this channel. It's definitely growing at a pretty good pace now. It's picked up lately, so I appreciate the Seminole fans, Gator fans, LSU fans. I know I get back and forth. I think that's healthy for me to get in the comments and debate people. But it's all in good fun. I like to argue. I like to debate people. It's just part of it, but there's no ill will in there. I want everybody to know that. Anyways, love you guys. Appreciate y'all. Have a good day. Thanks. Go Gators.